Hi guys, Thogrey here with a new video, and this video will be my 2v2 tier list video for Ranged DPS for Season 4 PvP in Shadowlands, and we're going to, of course, discuss every spec. Please subscribe to the channel if you like those kinds of content, like the video if you like the video, of course comment below what you think about the tier list, and also in general, what is your tier list? I want to really discuss about it, debate about it, and if you're not happy about something, please let me know. I want to debate with you and see if you can actually change my mind, or if I can change your mind about a specific subject. So let's start really quickly by explaining the tier list. S tier is God tier. It means that this is really the best of the best for ranged DPS in 2v2. A tier means it is meta, so basically it is just meta. You can play it and still perform really well, although your skill is maybe not following, for example. B tier is average, so it means you still need to work hard to actually push. C tier, it means it's underperforming, so it needs probably maybe a buff or some way, somehow, or it's not made for 2v2. And to D tier, it means that it's garbage, so you could just play another spec, or play this spec and try your hardest, but it will be very hard to actually climb and play in LFG, because people will know that you are D tier, so why would they actually play with you, except if they are friends. Me myself, I don't care. I play with whatever as long as I have fun in the comp. I don't really need to play meta, but of course these healers can guide you into the best possible specs. So let's start with Affliction Warlock. They got a lot of buffs, but also a nerf on Soul Rot. They get I don't think it's a nerf, but they cannot crit on UA anymore, so it's more reliable, so you know whenever you're going to dispel that you're going to get hit by a certain amount. But it's still shit in twos, right? For me, they are kind of screwed versus demon hunters, kind of screwed versus windwalkers, kind of screwed versus survival hunters and PMs. They get trained very hard by Fury Warriors. Feral Druids can really be annoying, although you can still have fun against. I feel like versus casters you are right. You can really win versus casters in general, but it's still average, right? For me, it's average. I'm going to put it in average. It's not fun to play twos as an Affliction Warlock, because again, you're playing coin flip. If you're playing versus Survival Hunter and you're equal leveled, I feel like you're not going to win. Of course, you can win because they can make mistakes. That's the nature of WoW PvP, and that's why we love WoW PvP. But Affliction Warlocks, it's not it. That's why there are multiple odd specs which is more made for twos that can actually be discussed right now. We can discuss right away with Demonology Warlocks. I think like Demonology Warlocks is still S tier. I changed my mind about Demonology Warlocks in Season 3. I feel like they are really made for twos. They have two builds which can be played. You can play the big Demon Bolts build, but if you play versus something that is very hard to actually cast, like for example Fury Warrior with a Resto Shaman, then it becomes very hard to pull off. But if you play versus like normal comps, which is probably easier to cast, then you can do your Demon Bolts hitting for 50k, 60k. So those things are still possible. But you have also the second build, which is the pet build, the tyrant build, and that is also a very good build for twos. Of course, people will just line it. They can't really run away from the pet, but if you use your CC to actually give the pet the setup to actually damage the enemy team, you can win. I don't prefer to play Demonology, I prefer to play Affliction. I don't like the Demonology playstyle, but I can understand why people play it, and I can understand that in 2v2 it is actually a very good spec. Although I feel like people are catching up to Demonology Warlock. They know that they need to CC the the tyrant, for example. If they are not doing it, they need to line it or kill it. You can even kill it if you're like having a burst, for example. You can really burst it down. So yeah, difficult times, but you can still have fun versus Demonology Warlock. But you need to find a way to defeat him. Let's discuss also the Destruction Warlock. Destruction Warlock is complete garbage in twos. I'm not even going to say that it's underperforming. It is just garbage. Your only comp that you can play in twos as a Destruction Warlock is basically Holy Priest or with a Frost Mage. Why Holy Priest? Because you can actually chastise your enemy. So whenever you're going, they are not going to move or line it. or you play with Frost Mage, so they cannot really they cannot line both of you. But the problem is they are going to train one of you down, and someone will die really soon. The thing is with Destruction Warlock, it is line of sight. They know if you're popping off and they don't have an interrupt, they don't have a stun to stop you. They will just run around pillars and you have like no real way to kill them. Especially since the 4-set nerf on the stun, I feel like you don't really have the opportunity to actually kill them. And of course you can death coil them, mortal coil them, you can fear them and then do chaos bolt for example. But it's hard, people are not going to let you do that. Of course the mortal coil, it's a 3-second instant CC. You're going to get 1 or 2 chaos bolts. But after that, if they're surviving, you're screwed, because how can you perform? They will just go back whenever they got the interrupt. They will go back whenever you got the stun. And that's why Destruction Warlocks, they are very bad at the moment. Imagine you're a Destruction Warlock and you play versus a Fury Warrior. That guy is just not going to let you go. And if they're playing Spear of Bastion and you're not next to a portal, you're pretty much dead. Like, it's guaranteed you're dead, and the healer cannot do anything. Like, his role as a healer will be healing you. They don't have a lot of agency, because if they DPS a bit, you will die. That's a problem. And with a Frost Mage, it's alright. You can have fun, I guess. But the problem is, versus certain comps, you will not be able to cast. They will just train you. They don't care about the Frost Mage, or they don't care about the Destruction Warlock, and they're going to train one target, kill that target really fast, and then go for you. It's a 30-second match. You will not survive. So that's why for me it's a D tier. They nerfed way too much at the moment. It's very hard to play Destruction even in 3s, but in 2s I feel like it's torture. It's not made for 2s. Arcane Mages, man, am I biased if I say that Arcane Mage is better than Destruction Warlock? Because they still have polymorph, but they also have the mobility and the tankiness. They are actually annoying to kill, but the damage is predictable. I don't feel like you have really kill damage potential. You can choose, like, I mean, we have players that actually can really one-shot people, but is it reliable? Is it like justifiable to actually put it higher? I don't think so. A one school spell is already hard to play. Like, I'm talking about Affliction Warlock, but at least they have like great damage at all times. Arcane Mages, they don't have great damage at all times. They have like burst like a Fire Mage, so basically it's like a Combust Go. It's really resembling a Combust Go, but it is easy to stop, because Fire Mages, you're going to try to stop polymorphs. Arcane Mages, if you stop polymorphs, you are stopping Blink, you're stopping their damage, you're stopping everything from them. So basically, you will not be able to set up as well as you would like, and you will do half goes or one-shot potentials where you're going to one-shot or just leave if it doesn't work, for example. So that's why it's D tier. BM Hunters are S tier. Still very strong in 2s. I still think in 3s it is also very strong, but in 2s it's even more stronger, because you can actually trap reliably. You can also stun, trap. You can ask your teammate to fear whenever you have your trap go again, so that you don't need a stun to put the trap, for example. For example, your Disc Priest or your Holy Priest does a Chastise, walks up, fear. But the Chastise stun and not Chastise incap, or else you're going to screw the whole the whole go. But if you're doing the fear and he has no trinket, basically you know where he is going to walk, so you can basically do a trap and stop the enemy team to actually be able to heal. And that's why S tier, because their damage is not that impressive. It is consistent, annoying because it's unstoppable except you're killing the pet. But killing the pet is very hard if the healer knows that you're going to kill the pet. And the same for the BM Hunter. If they know that you're going for the pet, it is actually easier to actually manage the pet. So that's why for me it is S tier in front of Demonology for me, because it's easier to play. Yeah, I feel like BM Hunters, they have a great spot in the meta, and I can understand why it's frustrating to play, especially whenever you're a caster, for example. Especially if you're Affliction Warlock, I think BM Hunters are really annoying. Some BM Hunters, they are even lining you constantly, so basically you're resolved to also do lining things. Whenever you line, basically you're going to lose, because in dampening, you are affected more than the BM Hunter. Paying Death doesn't get affected. but Dark Pact or Death Pact, Dark Pact, and Drain Life is really affected though. I mean, BM Hunters S tier. I think it's logical. Elemental Shaman for me it is A tier. The reason is they have a lot of possibility to cast. I feel like you will need to play with an H priest because you will need the setup. You will need to actually survive damage. It's hard to do hybrids with the elemental shaman, by the way, because they will train you. They will train you but whenever you're playing full mastery and you're playing the deep rooted elements legendary, you can really cast a minimum but still do maximum damage. And that's maybe why for me it is an A tier spec, because you have a lot of instant damage, you have like 2 walls, you have a push, you have a stun, you have a lot of totems to deal with a lot of situations. Grounding totems ruins warlocks, for example. Static field totem is very good versus Fury if you know whenever you need to use it. Same for Demon Hunters, for example, but you will struggle versus a lot of classes. Like, for example, Demon Hunters, like I said, you're going to screw them with a static field totem, but they will go back right at you and like do unstoppable damage. But yeah, it is A tier. It is meta for me. I think it's still better than Affliction. That's why it is above. I don't think they are like on the same level as a BM Hunter. That's why they are E tier. But for me, it is meta. That's why they deserve the A tier spot. Fire Mages, they are S tier still. Although they nerfed the survivability, it is still a combust go machine. Basically, whenever you're going for a combust go and they don't have a trinket and you have like polymorph up and kidney shot up, you're going to win, because the combust, if you don't react 2 seconds after the combust or even before, even pre-react the combust, then you're going to die really fast. But fire mages are not the easiest spec to play, but they made it easier. But yeah, I think the variety of comms that you can play is maybe a bit low, because rogue mage is still really good and there's like nothing else that you can play except with a H priest. But H priest is completely different, the playstyle is completely different, and you need to adjust to that. But I feel like if you're maining fire mages, you have the expansion of your life. I feel like it never went below S tier, all the expansions. I think well, like all the patches in that expansion, I feel like fire mages has been S tier for a long while. And BM Hunter, they were not S tier in season 1, and then they become S tier, and then they stayed at S tier. But fire mages, they are like the staple S tier class spec of the season. A bit the same like a warrior, to be honest, because season 1 and season 2 arms warriors were really rampant, and then season 3 it was fury, and season 4 I feel like fury and arms are both good. So yeah, expansion Shadowlands, I feel like there is not a lot of variety in the S tier positions, except Demonology Warlock, of course, because they jumped from D tier to S tier. But hey, Cross Mages C tier, they are better than Destruction Warlock. They're not that much better though. Basically you want to play with a DPS, but you can play with any DPS though. So you can play with another caster, for example, a Shadow Priest. You can make it work. You can play with an Affliction Warlock. You can also make it work. Don't play with a Rogue, because it's basically a loss of time for you. But you can really do something good with Frost Mage, because you can do an Iceland build, which is basically instant. But again, you're very squishy, and you will do like long games. Like those games are going to be long, and it will work on your mental. So I feel like you're going to have a better time if you're playing in 3v3, for example. Marksmanship Hunter, they are for me. Because low elo, Marksmanship Hunter can really do a lot of damage. They can counter a lot of classes, and they can play with H priest. And okay, I'm going to put him at A tier, because they have the potential to actually be very good. But I just think BM Hunter and Survival Hunter is just that much better that it deserves maybe a bit lower. But I'm going to put in A tier, because if you're taking it in a vacuum and you're not thinking about BM Hunter and Survival Hunter, they are actually very good, because they have a lot of great damage. If they play Vent there, it is consistent. especially with a haste build, you're going to have a lot of fun. You can play Feign Death Lego, but you can also play the Rapid Fire Lego, depending on comps. You can play with H Priest, which basically gives you like win conditions on a lot of things. So that's why for me it deserves A tier. But I can understand why people would put it in B tier. So for me, it is really between A tier and B tier. I'm going to put them at A tier for now. It might change at the end of the video, but for now it is A tier. Boomies, Boomkin, Boomkin, Boomkin. In twos, they are average, below Affliction. They have win conditions. They could play Convoke, since Convoke in twos is not as bad as in threes. So they can root beam and then convoke the other target, and you have a win condition by doing that. But it is really dependent of a Holy Paladin, for example, or dependent of a Subtlety Rogue. If you're playing with a Subtlety Rogue, you can win in the opener, like literally. The Rogue shut duels, for example, the DPS, and the healer, which not all healers have ranged CC, can really get one-shot by the Convoke. But it is cheesy, it is not really reliable. Sometimes you will not do a lot of damage, sometimes you will just not do damage, and then your go is gone, and yeah, you're going to play the cat and mouse game all game long, and that makes it not really reliable, and that's why it's for me average. But it is definitely better than Frost Mage, definitely better than Arcane and Destruction, so that's why I put it in B tier. But I feel like it's really on the same level as Affliction. It depends on a lot of subjects. I feel like it is still a dampening class. You can make it work in dampening, but I don't know, man. I don't see a lot of boomkins in twos, to be honest, and for good reasons, because whenever I see one, they are either playing Convoke bullshit with a bullshit trinket, and you know it's coming, so you know how to defend yourself versus that. But yeah, that's why it deserves an average tier. And I'm not really considering Shadow Priest in twos. I feel like Shadow Priest in twos is not that strong. I can understand that people are having difficulties because of the Void Volley PvP talent, but it is counterable. If you see it coming, you're not going to give them the space. They need to be melee form to actually perform well, and it's a caster. And whenever you're melee form, I mean, it's easy to see or easy to kill. So for me, it's B tier. It's on the same level as Boomkin and Affliction. They are casters, they are annoying to play against, but also annoying to play for. A healer will not enjoy to play with Shadow Priest, so basically you are condemned to actually play with a DPS, so DPS or a hybrid DPS. I don't know. I feel like Shadow Priest is maybe not really a twos spec, although the spec itself is very good, because you can go even mind games. You can also play Necrolord for the tankiness and overall consistent damage, or you can even play Night Fae, and then you have like your CDs or the CDs of your teammates back at a faster rate. But they are not A tier. I don't think it's meta. I don't think it's meta whenever your damage is so paddy. It doesn't do like critical damage. It does critical damage if you're letting him cast and you're letting him void volley all the things on you. But if you're like someone that can actually run away from void volley, just do it and go back in. Especially if they're playing Megalomania, you see a timer of 30 seconds, you know, alright, 30 seconds and he will be 30%. If I can force dispersion before that, he is screwed. Because if he disperses before the 30%, yeah, you're not going to survive that as a priest. So that's why it's actually easily countered, and I feel like people just need to use, I would not say brain, but use their knowledge to actually perform versus them, to actually make them feel like average. Of course, if you're letting him do whatever he wants and he plays with Unholy DK, yeah, you deserve to die at that moment in World of Warcraft, but you should know better. It's already two seasons that the Shadow Priest plays like this. So now you should know how to counter it. And really, it is not an OP class. So for me, it's average. So this is my tier list. I hope you enjoyed it. Please comment below what you think about the tier list. I think I'm very tough on certain specs, because I know that if I'm putting Affliction in A tier, it is just a lie. It is an A tier maybe from all the casters, but I also think about the melees, because 2v2, you're not going to play a lot of casters. How many elemental shamans do you see in 2v2? How many priests, like shadow priests, do you see in 2s? How many affliction warlocks? How many frost mages? How many destruction warlocks? I feel like it's only like 1% of the games played are destruction warlocks, for example. Even lower for arcane mages. So you need to still take it with a grain of salt and put it in perspective versus meaties where it's a lot more played, and affliction warlocks are not A tier. So that's why for me it's B tier at max. So subscribe to the channel if you like those kinds of content. Like the video if you like the video. Comments below what is your tier list at the moment. Do you think my tier list is okay? Is it not okay? Let me know. I want to debate with you guys. Again, thank you for watching. Please check the description below for the links, like for Twitch, for following Twitch. You can also become a member on YouTube or subscribe on Twitch. You have a lot of things to actually support me. So if you want to support me, it is also possible. Of course, it is not a necessity. It could be very great for me, but I can understand if you're not doing it. So thank you for watching. Have a great day. We will see each other very soon. Bye.